The first thing about marketing is the data. How do you find these self-storage facilities that you're going to be marketing to? Now, as we look at this marketing, the easy path is not always the best path. I think Cameron brought it up of, the deals that are the hardest to work through end up being some of the best deals. It's the same thing with data. You can go ahead and buy your data from list providers. Now, when you buy data from a list provider, they're used to someone saying, hey, I want a list of every self-storage facility in the state of New Mexico. I go, okay, any other criteria? And you say, oh, I want it to be this amount of square feet. Maybe it hasn't been bought or sold within the last 5 years. It'd be great if it had debt that was less than 50% of what the current assessed value is. Send that to me. I go, okay, we've got 1,500 results on it. The reality is that self-storage is one of the most fragmented asset classes out there. The fact that there's 2 different industrial codes for self-storage in 2 different systems, and these are some of the systems that the data providers are using to provide you the data, just tells you that. And on top of that, if you look at the standard industrial classification, it's for general warehousing and storage. So many years ago when we first used that standard industrial code, we were getting cold storage. I was getting just big old warehouses. We actually got a J.P. Reynolds tobacco storehouse. It was 850,000 square feet. And they said, it's got dirt floors. It's ready for you to put self-storage in it. I said, okay. So when you do this, there's a couple things happening. One, everyone else that thinks, where do I get data? I go to a data provider. They're going to be using the same data that you are. Second one is the data that they have isn't actually that good because it's going to be fragmented. For instance, the SIC, the Standard Industrial Classification, that code is no longer maintained. So that's not even used anymore by the government to be categorizing self-storage. Now it's just the NAICS. You might have some data providers that are still using the SIC code to provide you that data. On top of that, I don't know how many times that you've looked at property tax bills, how inaccurate they are. So if you said, hey, I want a self-storage facility that's greater than 25,000 feet, they may be sending you facilities that are bigger, smaller, don't exist, etc. So we wouldn't necessarily recommend this if it's something where this is the list that you're going to be working from, it's the only list you're going to be working from. What we would recommend is you go ahead and do a manual list. Yes, it requires more work, but with more work, you get better results. You hire some virtual assistants. We personally hire a fair amount of virtual assistants from the Philippines. We give her the criteria. She uses Google Maps. She goes ahead and takes the addresses and information from Google Maps, goes to the tax assessor portals, and then we go ahead and skip trace that information we're able to get from the tax portals to go ahead and create our list that have the contact information of the sellers. Now here's where the real benefit is. It isn't even so much that you're getting data that necessarily other people aren't using, or maybe it's more accurate because you're going through piece by piece. What you can really do is you can utilize other people's underwriting. What I mean by that is you can go, hey, Donna is one of our extraordinaires. Donna, I want every self-storage facility in the country that is within 1 mile of a Jamba Juice and also 1 mile to a Baird & Warner real estate office. Now, those aren't the actual companies that I would use, but the point being that you can go ahead and take a company that has millions and millions and millions of dollars around where they put their footprint in the United States and have it match your criteria. So some real companies that I would suggest, Home Depot, Benjamin Moore. These are some of the best location scouting companies in the world as to finding out where are there people that are going to be moving, that have disposable income to be improving their houses or repainting their houses. And if you can find stuff that are overlapping in people's underwriting, then you just saved yourself a bunch of money, and you're going to go ahead and find something that fits your demographics for population growth, income, etc.